Welcome to solverfy.
Alright, so for this problem, they are wanting us to find the volume in liters of sulfur dioxide using this balanced chemical equation. For this equation, I'm going to be using R is equal to 0.0821 liters atmospheres per mole Kelvin. And then they do give us a couple other unknowns that we can use to help us solve this problem. So one of the first unknowns that they give us is the mass of PBS. So our mass of PBS is equal to 3.75 kilograms. Another way to put this is 3.75 times 10 to the 3 grams, just so that way we have everything in grams, our standard basic measurements and units. And then they also tell us that the volume of O2, so O2 volume, is equal to 228 liters. They also tell us that our temperature is equal to 220 degrees Celsius. So I'm going to add 273 Kelvin to this. So that will bring our temperature to 493 Kelvin. And they also tell us that our pressure is equal to 2.0 atmospheres. Alright, so we are going to be using this chemical equation to help us solve what the limiting reagents are. We are looking for the volume of sulfur dioxide. So if we first have to figure out what the limiting reagent is for this chemical process. So we will start with O2. So it looks like we can find the number of moles of O2 that we need. So we're going to be using the equation PV is equal to nRT. And once we rearrange this, it'll be N is equal to PV over RT. So our number of moles for O2 is going to be equal to our pressure, which is 0 or 2.0 atmospheres, times the volume of O2, which is 228 liters. And we're going to divide this by our R value, which is 0.0821 liters atmosphere per mole Kelvin. And then times our temperature, which is 493 Kelvin. Alright, so when we calculate the moles out, it's going to be 11.26 moles of O2. Alright. And then to find the moles of PBS, we can use the mass that they gave us. So PBS moles is going to equal 3.75 times 10 to the 3 grams. And then we just are going to divide this by the molecular mass for PBS. So that's 239.266 grams per mole. So grams are going to cancel out to give us the moles. And this is going to equal 15.67 moles of PBS. So when we look at the moles of PBS and the moles of oxygen, we see that O2 is our limiting reagent. I'll abbreviate that LR. Alright, so now that we know that oxygen is our limiting reagent, we're going to go back up here to our chemical equation. We see that it takes 3 moles of oxygen to get 2 moles of the sulfur dioxide. So we're going to use the moles of O2, which is 11.26 moles O2, and we're going to divide that by that ratio, which is 2 moles of sulfur dioxide to every 3 moles of O2. When we calculate this out, it's going to equal 7.5 moles of the sulfur dioxide. All right, and this is wanting us to find the volume at standard temperature and pressure. So we also know that at standard temperature and pressure, when we have 1 mole of sulfur dioxide, the volume is going to equal 22.4 liters. So if we have 7.5 moles, we're just going to do 22.4 liters times 7.5 moles. And we know that that is for every 1 mole of SO2. So when we calculate this out, it's going to be 186 liters of sulfur dioxide. And this will be the volume of sulfur dioxide at standard temperature and pressure.